Hi, and welcome to this Elastic series with PowerShell. So in this first video, we're going to be really configuring Elastic on an Ubuntu desktop, which is running on VirtualBox. Now, if you need a video for that, I just posted one, the video before this, but I'll also be putting a link to it in the description down below. So if you haven't have a Ubuntu setup on VirtualBox and you want to do it the exact same way that we're doing it on this video series, you can give that video a view and set that up and then follow along with this tutorial. If you already have an Ubuntu setup and all you're wanting to do is really install Elastic and then follow the tutorials the rest of the way using your own configuration in your home lab or using two different computers, that is completely valid as well. I think that these steps should hold very true to either configuration that you have. So the first step that we really want to do to install Elastic, so I'm going to be installing it through our SSH session through PuTTY, and I show how to actually set up the SSH server on Ubuntu in that last video as well, and show how to connect to it through PuTTY. So I'm going to be doing the entire configuration through that SSH console. You could actually just connect to your Ubuntu box, open up a terminal command, and put all these commands in as well. I just prefer PuTTY. It makes it a little bit easier for me. I can also copy paste some of my scripts. And what I will also be doing is I will be posting the entire script to set up Elastic in the description below, because I realize that it is a lot of typing. And there is a lot of possibilities for typos that way. So I'm going to post the entire script down below in the description. There's a few parts that you'll still have to pay attention to in the video because we have to edit some files manually and put in some custom values. But that should be fairly easy as long as you have that script to do the whole install. So let's go ahead and let's log in to my Ubuntu box. So my Ubuntu box has a IP address of 172.30.123.15. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to that here. And that's going to be on port 22 because it is an SSH command. We're going to put in our username here, and then we're going to put in our password, and we are in. So the first thing that we want to do is a pretty long command here. So it's going to be wget space -q capital O. And then we're going to do another space and then another dash, and then https artifacts.elastic.co/gpg -key -elastic search, and then we're going to be piping that to a sudo gpg -dearmor space dash lowercase o, and then space, and then a /user /share /keyrings /elastic search -keyring.gpg. And then we're going to put in our password here, and that should be good. So what that did is we installed the public signing key for Elasticsearch. And then what we're going to do now is we are going to actually install the apt-transport-https packages. And that is going to be done by doing sudo apt-get install apt-transport-https. And then that should be good. So that sometimes takes a little bit of time to actually execute, and it's actually done here. So our next step, this is going to be another very long command here. So that command now is going to be an echo space double quote deb for Debian. Then we're going to do a space and we're going to do a square bracket signed dash by equals /user /share /keyrings /elasticsearch-keyring.gpg, and then we're going to close the square bracket here, and then we're going to do space artifacts.elastic.co/packages/8.x/app space stable space main, and then we're going to close the double quotes, and we're going to pipe that to sudo sudo space ttee space /elastic/elastic.d/elastic-8.x.list. All right, and once that is done, now what we're going to do, so that basically installs or configures the repo for Elasticsearch. And then we're going to do a sudo apt-get update. So this is going to update all of our repositories. And then we're going to do a sudo apt-get install Elasticsearch. And this is going to install our Elasticsearch. So this could also take a little bit of time. It says here that it's going to take about 2 minutes for me. So I'm going to go ahead and just pause the recording. We're going to come right back once it is all configured. Or actually, I should say once it's all installed. All right, so the install is all complete here. So it's just actually going through just the final part of the install here. And I just got that complete here. So if we actually scroll up, there is actually something very, very important to take down here. And this is actually going to be the authentication and authorization are enabled. So by default, HTTPS is turned on. Now, a lot of tutorials I see online actually turn it off, and we are not going to be turning it off. We are going to be leaving it on. So we have to make sure that we actually take note of this generated password for the Elastic built-in super user. So we're going to want to make sure that we actually go ahead and we copy this here. Now you can copy it just by right-clicking on, like highlighting it and then right-clicking on the console. And then all we're going to want to do actually at this point here is we are just going to want to go ahead and paste that in there. So make sure you keep it somewhere safe. For me, since this is again just a lab environment here, and I'm going to be deleting this very soon after this tutorial series. I'm just putting my password in a little text file here. This way I could remember it for these videos, but you're definitely going to want to store that somewhere in like a password manager or something where it's a little bit more secure than just on your desktop. But once we actually have that saved here, what we're going to want to do is we are going to want to configure our Elasticsearch, and then we're going to do a couple other things because our Elasticsearch is running on a VM and mine's running on a VM on a laptop. We're going to be configuring some of the startups, and then we're going to make sure that Elasticsearch always starts up when the system boots up, because by default, that is not actually that. And they actually tell you how to do it right here at the end. But we're going to be doing that in just a little bit. What we want to do first is make some changes to the configuration. So we are going to be doing a sudo nano /etc/elasticsearch/elastic elasticsearch.yml, and that is a YAML file. And this is going to come up like this. So if you've never used Nano before, you cannot use your mouse. Of course, we're in a terminal window, so you can't use your mouse. So you will have to use the arrow keys to scroll down and select the lines. And we're going to first remove the pound sign or the hashtag sign in front of node.name node1. And we're just going to leave it as node1. That's what we want to name ours. If you want to give yours a custom name, you can definitely feel free. And we are going to want to go ahead and remove the pound sign in front of network.host. And for the IP here, we are actually just going to put 0.0.0.0. And let's keep going down here. And we should see a discovery.seed_hosts. We're just going to want to go ahead and uncomment that here. And we are going to go ahead and put in, instead of host 1, we are going to go ahead and do a 127.0.0.1, and we can just remove host 2 here, and we're going to keep scrolling down. And then this is where you would typically disable the security, but we're going to be leaving it enabled, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to actually connect through it. Now, we are going to be using the self-created SSL certificate, so we will be skipping the certificate check in PowerShell. Now, if you have your own certificate that would actually pass, you can definitely put that in there. But for us, since it's just a testing environment, we're going to leave the self-signed certificate there. And for the cluster.initial master nodes, we are going to go ahead and put a node-1 here. And that should be good. Now, to actually save this new configuration, you're going to want to hit Control-X. And it's going to ask you whether you want to save the modified buffer. You're going to put Y. And then it's going to ask you for the file name. You don't have to change it, just hit enter, and that should work. Now, if it gives you an error message, make sure that you put the sudo in front of the nano, because it might just be that you are not in the as root user. You just might have forgot to put the sudo there. Now, the one last thing that we're going to do for our configuration is do a sudo nano/lib/ system.d/system/elasticsearch.service. And we are going to go ahead and we're just going to keep scrolling down here a little bit. And we should see something for a TimeoutStartSec. And that's going to be right down here. So this is going to allow for a slow startup. So especially if you're running this on a virtual machine or on a laptop, or a virtual machine on a laptop, it could take some time to start up Elasticsearch. The recommended for like a laptop or a VM environment is to put that to 600. So it'll give it 5 minutes, I believe. Or is that 10? That's going to be 10 minutes. It's going to allow it for it to boot up. And that's usually long enough. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to hit Control-X once again here, and we are going to save that. And then the only other thing that we need to do now is we need to change some permissions on the Elasticsearch logs here. So we're going to do a sudo chmod space 755 space -R for recursive. And then we're going to do a /var/log/elasticsearch/, and that should be good. And now all we want to do now is configure Elasticsearch to start up automatically when the system boots up. So we're going to do a sudo /bin/systemctl space daemon-reload. And we're going to do a sudo bin systemctl enable elasticsearch.service. And then all we want to do is we want to start it up now. So we're going to do a sudo /bin /systemctl start elasticsearch.service. And this might, again, take a little bit of time depending on how much resources you've assigned to the machine to start up Elasticsearch, or if you're running it on a laptop compared to running it on a powerful server or a more powerful desktop. So we're just going to leave this go for a little bit of time. I don't think I'm going to pause the recording. Usually this is not super slow. So we're just going to go ahead and leave it run here. And then after that, we just have to check the status once we actually get our command session back. So there we are. So now we can actually see if it is active. So we can do a sudo /bin /systemctl status elasticsearch.service. And we can see that it is active. So that is actually all good here. And we could just do a Control-C to exit out of that. Now what we actually want to do is we want to test out our Elasticsearch. Now we're just going to be testing it on the actual SSH session, or if you're doing this through the terminal on your Ubuntu box, we're going to do it right from there. And then in the next video, we're actually going to see how to connect to it from PowerShell. So what we actually want to do first is just do a sudo apt-get install curl. And this is going to install curl, and this is going to let us basically make that API request to Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch works all on APIs basically, to do the searching, to do the storing, setting up the different indexes. And we're going to be doing all that through PowerShell. We are not going to be actually doing this through a Linux interface at all. We're going to be doing it all through PowerShell in this series. So just to test it out here, we're going to do a curl -k -u elastic, and then https :/ the slashes aren't working here, so let me just do // and let's do a 127.0.0.1 and :9200. Now the reason for the :9200 is that is the port Elasticsearch runs on. So once we actually do that, we will see that we get prompted for the password for Elastic. This is where we have to grab our saved password and just right click on it. Similar to the other passwords on Linux, you're not going to see it appear even if you pasted it in, but lo and behold, it will be there when you click enter. And you should get something like this back. So you should get the name, which is our node-1, the cluster name, which is Elasticsearch, and then we have the version right now that is currently out that I installed. Because we did an 8.x, it'll pick the latest stable version, which for me today is going to be 8.5.3. And then we have a tagline, for search. So we know that our Elasticsearch is completely up and running. We're able to connect to it directly locally on the machine now through SSH. In the next video, we're actually going to be seeing how to connect to it through PowerShell, again, using that username, using that password, just bypassing the certificate because it is a self-signed certificate. And after that, we will actually start creating our mappings and creating our indexes and storing data in there and fetching it back. This way you guys can store logs. You guys can do tons of different things with Elasticsearch. The options are kind of endless. You can use it as a logging system. You can kind of use it as a database as well, depending on the type of data that you're putting in there. It might work very, very well. This is something that companies like Netflix use to be able to detect what type of videos you watch and what to suggest, because it could do some very strong correlation. So be sure to stay tuned for those. If you guys have any problems with the install, let me know in the comment section. I will try my best to help you guys out, but I will be pasting that whole install script in the description, so you guys do not have to type that out. Like you don't have to rewind and go through each of those things that I typed out. I will be pasting that in the description. The only thing that you guys will not be able to paste, of course, will be the slight file modifications. I'll put those in the description as well. Just be aware that if you copy paste those, it won't really work, but you just have to, I'll try to break it out into different parts so it's easy for you guys to follow along and just copy paste some of those different commands. So I hope this was very helpful for you guys for installing Elasticsearch. And in the next videos, we're going to be using PowerShell again to actually interact with our Elastic instance, and we're going to be creating our own Elastic module. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, also hit that notification bell to be notified when that next video comes out, and I will see you guys on the next video.